What are some of the ways consumers can be sure that a product they're buying is actually what it says on the label? And are there any? Who wants to take a stab at that?
Sure. I guess I'll give it a shot. I think transparency, as defined, implies, a level of truth, or at least exposure about all that occurs in the food development, from farm all the way to the point of consumption. So one of the items that's implied in that is authenticity. That's a very, very hard thing to achieve. So getting to the truth of the matter requires an assemblage of data, of the participants, the workflows that go on, and then ultimately even science, so you can detect, well, did that thing originate for real? Do we have a marker that says 100% I'm sure this is going to happen? So you as a consumer may have some visibility into it all and that transparency, and it's a starting point, because it's the beginning of a story to re-engage back with your food. So I think that the trends to be able to deliver the truth of what's actually happening in your food so that it's consumable in a digital way is really where things are going. And we're excited because obviously with blockchain, we're this vessel that allows for the transportation of all of this digital componentry that mirrors the food. And so if we can show that with a level of consensus and truth, you then can create really a new way in which people experience food, and that's what we're excited about.
Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I guess one of the challenges with bringing about transparency in the food system is really that it requires quite a lot of things to change. And so increasingly we know that consumers on the one hand want more transparency, but in the mainstream, consumers also want affordable food, cheap food. So the question is, who is going to be willing to pay for increased transparency in order to make everything upstream of what's on the shelf and how it gets there?
Mm-hmm. And related to this, one area where I think there's a lot of lack in transparency is seafood. In the US, I think it's close to 90% or so is not inspected. So how are you going to get the data to bring the transparency to that space?
Yeah, I can definitely add to that. So at Impact Vision, what we do is we offer an advanced imaging technology for food producers, food distributors, which can tell the difference in chemical composition between different products. So it's perfect for an application for fish where it might be cod being passed off as something else, or in fact, something lower than cod being passed off as cod when it's not. Salmon is another example. However, the question comes back to who is prepared to pay for this technology, right, and who is prepared to offer the consumer higher quality products, guaranteed, but at a premium, because at the moment there is a lot of fraud in the food system, and this is driven really by economic pressures that food companies face in order to deliver products at a certain price point. I don't know if you guys have things to add about consumer preferences.
So to add to that, because Ksenia's right, I think that what we've done at Ripe.io is that in our work with all these customers, basically we've learned that we need to take data in any way that we can. So we've created a digital vacuum, effectively. And so what that means is that we can talk to a farmer if they've got it on a spreadsheet, a log, a dairy processor operator that has logs and clipboards, to APIs that come through sensors and so on. And so we're really agnostic about how we capture data. And to Ksenia's point, there has to be an incentive, for a farmer to actually change process or even bother to, participate in what you're doing. So our model is really agnostic about what kind of data, and I mean the data capture methodology, but then being able to combine it into some kind of what we call a food bundle. That digital object then fulfills the commercial sort of incentive that's been placed to get there.